Hello, my name is Pi-Hsun Shih. I live in West Hartford, Connecticut.
Hi, Pi-Hsun. Hi, everybody. My name is Peter Zay, and I live in Natick, which is just outside of Boston, Massachusetts.
Later in the video, you will also see my sister Yu-Chen and my two nieces, Natalie and Isabel. They lived in Cypress, California. Before Yu-Chen got married and moved to California, we used to perform piano duets together. During this pandemic and the social distancing time, all of a sudden, I realized the long distance is not a problem for us anymore. No matter whether you live 3 miles or 3,000 miles away, all need to apply the same social distancing rules. Public and live performances are hard to come by these days. So Yu-Chen and I, both piano teachers, we came up with this program called Mother Goose Suite by French composer Maurice Ravel. This program requires a lot of video editing techniques. My colleague from the New World Trio, the cellist Peter Zay, helped us to put all these ideas together. Peter, thank you for making our dream come true.
Well, actually, first of all, Pi-Hsun, thank you so much for inviting me because I think this project is so special and meaningful, to have two sisters performing together on the opposite sides of the country. Just really, really neat thing to do. And so, you and I, obviously, we always perform together in person, right? I play the cello and you play the piano, and we rehearse and we perform concerts, and which is what we're good at. And so this experience is almost like that, but in a completely different way. So we're using technology. We're sending files through the mail or whatever, and and it's almost like a rehearsal, right? Because you're like, oh, well, this could be a little faster and a little bit darker here. So anyway, I just think it's kind of neat because there are similarities between our with us working together in this way. But I will just mention to everybody that I am not a expert professional video person, but it does take a lot of learning to be able to use all these different tools. And it's really been a fun discovery for me to figure out how to get, Pi-Hsun and her sister to play together on a video and to bring and Pi-Hsun sent me all these different pictures that we needed to integrate to create the mood of the Mother Goose. And I think it was a really challenging but very rewarding to see it come together. And I hope that Pi-Hsun, I hope you are also sort of excited to see how it came together.
Yes, I certainly I am very excited. Thank you, Peter, again.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say that we just hope that everybody who watches this really just really enjoys it and sees the love that we put into it for everybody.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Movement 1. Pavane of the Sleeping Beauty in the Woods. Once upon a time, a king and queen were overjoyed to be blessed with the birth of a baby daughter. At the child's christening, an evil fairy who was angry with the king put a spell on the infant princess that on her 16th birthday she would prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die. A kind fairy also in attendance at the christening was able to soften the wicked spell, but unable to remove it fully. The princess would indeed prick her finger, but instead of dying, she would fall into a deep sleep that would last 100 years. Once upon a time, a woodcutter and his wife struggled to support their 7 sons, not one of whom was able to earn a living. The youngest son was no bigger than a thumb, which is why he was called Little Thumb. There came a very bad year, and famine drove the couple to plan to abandon their children in the forest so that they would not have to watch them starve. Having eavesdropped and heard his parents' plan, on the way into the forest the next day, Little Thumb dropped breadcrumbs along the way in order that he and his brothers would be able to follow them back to their home. But later he was very surprised not to find a single crumb. The birds had come and eaten them all, making it impossible for the boys to find their way home. 3. Laideronnette, Empress of the Pagodas. Long, long ago, a beautiful Chinese princess fell under a wicked witch's curse that transformed her into a little ugly girl. Embarrassed, she exiled herself from her family and country. Alone she traveled until she befriended a hideous green serpent who was under a similar spell. As their friendship grew into love, the curse was lifted and she was transformed once again into a beautiful princess, and the serpent transformed back into a handsome king. They married and lived happily ever after on the island of the Pagodas. When the princess is bathing in her lovely garden, the little statues come to life to sing and play instruments. There are lutes made of walnut shells and violins made of almond shells. Here is the tune, a march that the little statues play. Movement 4. Conversation of Beauty and the Beast. When I think of your good heart, you don't seem so ugly to me. Oh, lady, yes, I have a good heart, but I am a monster. There are indeed men who are more monstrous than you are. If I had the intellect, I would praise you highly to thank you, but I am only a beast. Beauty, do you want to be my wife? No, beast. I would die content, knowing that I had the pleasure to see you again one more time. No, my dear beast, you will not die. You will live to be my husband. The beast disappeared, and where he had stood was a handsome prince who thanked her for having broken the enchantment that had made him a beast. The awkward progression of the lovers to the happy ending is reflected in the music. Movement 5. The Fairy Garden. We have arrived at the end of our journey in the land of fairy tales. Here in the fairy garden, the sleeping beauty is awakened by the prince and slowly opens her eyes to a sun-filled room. Little Thumb finds his way out of the deep dark forest and brings gold to his impoverished parents. The Chinese princess Laideronnette lives happily ever after on the island of Pagodas. and the beast-turned prince has married the beauty with a heart that could see past his beastly exterior. The magic fairy light glows brighter and brighter in the garden.